Hello everyone, we are here to talk about one of our newest products compatible with the Transformers trading card game, which is our health bars. And you can see them here on your screen. And I want to talk a little bit about the inspiration for these tokens and then also how they work and showing the system off. So what we were looking to do here, so Jonathan and I are brothers, if you haven't gathered that. That's been causing nothing but hilarious comments for the past 11 years of our doing these videos. We grew up playing with Transformers and action figures
transforming all
of the
sorts
time.
of things.
We transformed everything. We did the mask thing. We did the Transformers thing. We probably transformed things that weren't meant to be transformed. We're really into Beast Wars. I mean, we've been through the gamut here. So we've done it all. Key Force. Oh my gosh, I forgot about Key Force. It was like Transformers, but it had a key. So the thing that when we kind of started on the concept for what we wanted to do with a Transformers compatible set like this is that tactile nature of actually transforming things.
Yeah, we wanted to feel like it was transforming.
We wanted to feel that because like flipping cardboard is a fine mechanic for a card game, right? But you are lacking, especially with like the paper tokens and the core set, you're lacking that physicality and that tactile nature of what was so kind of nostalgic to us about thinking about the Transformers universe and being in it. So we knew that the tactile nature was really important and the transforming nature was really important coming into this. So that was the original concept, and then that led to exactly that, right? How can we, first of all, it has to be flippable, right? So we need to be able to essentially transform these tokens as we go. And then we're also looking at, it really needs to feel like a self-contained kind of mechanical system.
Yeah.
So you don't just have tokens, sitting in front of something.
And that's really because these cards
chunky.
do so much. They flip, they turn, they do everything. And so a lot of times, if you're trying to keep something on it, or even near it, it can get knocked about. And these are very secure. You can't really mess it up once you got it in there. And particularly if you're playing with younger children, this is really great for that. They can get as violent as they want with the transformation, and they can't really do a lot of damage.
Yes, violent as they want with the transformation. It sounds like my childhood. So the other thing too is there's a lot of different variations that these Transformers can take in the game. A lot of your forces are going to have about 3 Transformers to hit the 25 stars. Then you've got like the 5 combiners, you've got 2 combiners, you've got 6 combiners. So having all of these healths like essentially very well documented and kind of spread out across the cards is really helpful so that you don't have, when you have your 5 combiners sitting there and tokens are in front of these various cards, there's no confusion, nothing's getting knocked about. Obviously dice can get knocked about and those kinds of things. So we really just wanted to have a singular place where you can say this is the health bar for this Transformer. It's going to track it kind of like a fighting game where you can actually see that health get worse and worse off as it goes forward in time. And then of course we wanted to theme them in the appropriate colors. And as you notice, we've also made them the exact width of the cards themselves so that they fit very tidily on those tables and on the boards. So looking at how we use these, obviously all of your health, now you could technically count down. Now we tried that. So like you can build a Transformer up to its 12 health. And let's say I just do that. So I do a 5 and a 5 and a 2.
Now, importantly on this, if you're going to do it, make sure that your opponent is doing the same thing.
Yeah. So
or it starts to get real weird.
I mean, it's a decision that you can make. It's not my preferred way of using this, but if I'm sitting here and everyone has a health bar that starts at its max health and then it counts down, that can be a cool thing if that's easier for you. Otherwise, you can count up. So I'm going to show you that essentially as you go. So let's say your Dreadwing here. Let's just use Megatron because I feel like Megatron's kind of the dad here. All right, so Megatron starts out, and let's say Jonathan does 3 damage to me. I can put this 3 damage token in here.
Boom.
And then let's say I take 2 more damage. I need to go up to 5. Boom. I've transformed it. It feels tactile. It feels like Transformers happening. And I know that Megatron has 5 damage. Then I take 2 damage. Let's say I do that, and then maybe I take 1 more. All right, there we go. Now we're tracking damage. Let's say I take another one. Boom. I'll bust this up. And now let's say I take another one. One thing that you can do is you can just remove these 2s, bump that up to a 5. And this is a really good method for if you're teaching kids, especially. I know a lot of people are having these kinds of experiences with their kids with Transformers because it is crossing that kind of generational gap between I did this as a kid and now my kids get to do this. And that's a really cool thing. So it's helpful to have the smallest amount of numbers so that it's easier to count, especially if you have a younger kid across the table. You don't have to worry so much about counting up 4 or 5 or 6 different values, and they can make actually informed decisions based on a much more limited number number of additions that they have to do. But also, one thing that I ran into whenever I was testing these, and we were playing a bunch of games with these health bars, was that things that make me uncomfortable are like this kind of a scenario. Like if I have 1 damage there and I need to take 2, and it's like, oh, well, I guess I'll take 2 here. And I was like, that looks weird, and then maybe I want to transform this to a 5.
Mm-hmm.
So what Zach and I started doing, and I think this would be helpful for anybody else out there who's thinking about grabbing this system, I like to have my biggest denominators will go into the leftmost slots,
okay,
and then my smallest go into the rightmost slots.
So you're counting up from the highest on the first 2 slots, then left, right justified, I guess.
Yeah, sounds easy as pie, right? It's so simple. But it actually is quite easy. So right, if Megatron takes 2 damage, I put 2 here.
Okay.
If I take another damage, I go ahead and put 1 there.
All right.
And then if I take another damage, let's say I go here. And now, let's say I take a big swing of 3 damage.
Right.
So rather than me having to rearrange these kinds of things, I can just come in here and throw my 3 down there.
Okay.
All right, so then let's say I take 2 more damage, boom, I flip that up to a 5, and I pretty much kind of always stay in this position where my biggest numbers are on the left and my smallest numbers are on the right.
Okay.
And that helps me as a player, and just as somebody using the system, to not feel that weirdness of like having a 3, 5, 1, 2.
Yeah.
Although that's totally fine as well.
Stuff.
So I like to do it like that, and then as you build these bars, they kind of stay in a nice tidy order. You see the 5, 3, 2, 2.
Okay.
As you go along. So that's a very easy way to do it. You can also do it in a secondary way, which I like as well, which is you can start your 2 stack, your lower denominator there, and your bigger denominator there.
Yep, and then just count them both out to the right.
So that will count down. So if you take 3, you can go here, and then if you take 1, you can obviously just go here, and that's going to keep it tidy. Great. And then if you take 1 more, you're flipping. And so there are various ways that you can find to use this to the best of your liking. But this is the general idea. It's 5 tokens. There's 2 3 5s, and there's 3 1 2s. That's going to track up to 16 damage with only 5 tokens. And every one of these sets includes the 5 tokens that you see here, as well as the holder to keep those nice and tidy on the table.
Now, most of the Transformers that we looked at were well under the 16 health.
Yeah, so like Bumblebee is going to be, I think there's a 16 Bumblebee that we saw, or a 15. There's a high health. We didn't see anything over that. And then the combiners, obviously, when they get in big mode, giant mode, look at these guys, they're going to combine together, and they're going to have a bunch of health, right? So what we've done here is, especially because the health stays with, if you filled out a health bar already, then you can simply
connect them together.
Just
combine them.
And lock them up, right? They combine.
All right.
Now, if you'd rather explore the other space on the table, they also lock up here, combine here. So they gives you a little guide where you can keep these things together and kind of move them about as a singular unit. So this is kind of a nice other tactile feature of the system, where when your Transformers combine, let's say I've got something like this going on. Say I've used my trusty system. I can actually combine the health bars as well, and then now I've got the entire spread of things.
Excellent.
Or my favorite thing is to actually do this.
Yeah.
So I fill up 1 health bar entirely, and then when I need it, I can essentially bring in the second one and add whatever leftover. Let's say I had 3 left over, and now I'm tracking a new line of health. And then if I fill that one up, I can bring more in here, and then all of a sudden I've got this big, massive combiner.
Big boss there, yeah.
And it feels like it should, right? This is the feature of the game. So obviously we've got these themed in the appropriate colors here, the Decepticon and Autobot feeling colors, because obviously the theme is super important in this game, and we want to feel like you're really using the faction that you're a part of. And we're going to bundle these in terms of pricing in kind of reasonable 3 packs right now is what we're feeling. And so we're going to make it as easy as possible to get the health bars that you need at a discounted price. So obviously we recognize that most people are not going to just need 1 of these health bars, because it's very rare that you run 1 Transformer of 16 health. So I'm going to say that's very uncommon. So as you get more of these in a single order, they're going to get cheaper per unit, and that's just a way to make it easier for you to get the 3 or the 6 health bars that you need at a lower price. So be sure to check that out when you're looking at the pricing and see kind of how all that's coming together and if that's going to work for you. Yeah, well, essentially, I think everything hopefully on a market is priced to move. That's the idea. Jonathan, any particular answers from the design side of this, how this came together?
Not really. I looked a lot at the IDW comics. They've done some amazing stuff with the Transformers
Everybody's
universe.
talking about those comics in like the Facebook
really worthwhile. And if you haven't checked them out and you're playing this game, I actually recommend it. Did a ton of sketching, and you kind of start to see some themes of what makes Transformers. And I tried to draw in as much as I could to that. But also the Transformers computers in the various states. I wanted to feel like, if you're a Transformer and you're, watching yourself in battle or whatever, this is the kind of readout that you'd be getting.
Well, that's great. Well, thank you so much for watching, everyone. We really appreciate your time checking these out. We hope you'll pick up 2, 3, 8, 6, however many that you need, and just enjoy them and have a great time. And we hope that it reminds you of, or introduces you to, the tactile sensation of transforming these like old action figures, which is something that we truly love. And until next time, keep playing.